Well, welcome back to Toyota Sports Talk. We're still kind of living in the moment of that amazing Hail Mary with the Commanders beating the Chicago Bears on Sunday. And when I was kind of going in my brain and kind of thinking about Hail Marys of the past, and probably the most memorable one, 1984 in college football, Boston College beating Miami, the guy throwing that pass, Doug Flutie, joining us now. Doug, appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Glad to be with you.
So I
It's fun.
assume you saw the play on Sunday, and what'd you think?
I saw absolutely amazing. I think it was as well executed as you can do it. Jayden Daniels spot is the key to it is buying time and holding on to it as long as you can. So receivers can get down there. They can all be in the same position going up with DBs rather than being on a dead run. So he bought all kinds of time. He even managed to get himself back to the middle of the field where he could make a direct throw and get it there 65 yards away. Then all four receivers were in perfect position. Two went up for it, one behind. It's like the coaches have to be so proud of themselves that this was executed. I mean, still you need that factor of luck, but the way they executed it was absolutely amazing.
And I thought you mentioned it, Jayden buying time. He scrambled around Doug for 12 seconds before he threw the ball. I know with your Hail Mary, it was around 6 seconds, 5 to 6 seconds when you unleashed it. So kind of explain how difficult that is, scrambling around for 12 seconds before you can kind of set yourself.
Yeah. Right away, you just say you're going to buy some time. So you start to move, and you don't put your eyes downfield. You don't, like normally when you're dropping back and you're scrambling, your eyes are up the field. In this situation, you know you want to hold on to the ball a long time. You're just eyeing the pass rushers. So it's like when we were kids in the yard, kill the man with the ball, five guys trying to tackle one, and you just run around for a while. And that's what he's doing, staying behind the line of scrimmage and hanging on to it as long as he can. So I don't think it tires him out because it's subtle movements. It's a quick burst. It's a movement, drift back over. So you're not like tired by the end of it. But even at the end, when he squared his shoulders, it was time to launch. He decided, I'm going to get a little close. He like nudged up a little more and held it an extra second or two. Pretty impressive stuff. I do remember I was playing in Calgary. Actually, I was in British Columbia against Calgary.
Okay.
And there's an altitude factor. So I intentionally, the first two plays of the game, held on the ball for 14 seconds and 17 seconds before throwing it and wore out their defensive line. So it's more tiring for the defensive line than it is the quarterback, is my point.
Great point there. And I went back and watched your clip when you threw the Hail Mary. And Doug, you threw it 65 yards in the air. Jayden threw it 65 yards in the air. So I was actually surprised. I didn't realize your throw was 65 in the air.
I just, it just shows you what adrenaline does. I have lined up on a field so many times and thrown it as far as I can, and it goes 63 yards. That particular throw, I thought I was closer to the end zone than I was. Mm-hmm. And instead of throwing a moonshot and dropping it in and throwing it absolutely as far as I could, I thought I was closer to midfield and didn't want to throw it out of the end zone. So I threw more of a line drive. And it still went 65. I threw one against Notre Dame at the end of the half in a bowl game that went 75 in the air. So that just shows you what adrenaline does and what a difference in a game situation.
The kind of the evolution of the Hail Mary. Obviously, nowadays they actually kind of have a formula in a sense. They have a jumper, which was Zach Ertz on the play for the Commanders to kind of try to tip the ball. So they have somebody in front and now somebody in back. I don't know if that was the case in '84, but kind of explain the evolution of the Hail Mary.
We've always gone for that type of play. You have one guy that is the designated jumper, and you're throwing it towards him.
Okay.
And with ours, it just so happened that Gerard went down the field, and when I started to scramble, they all sat flat and did not think I could reach the end zone or something. So Gerard got 10 yards behind everyone. So he wound up being the deep guy turning around and looking at it. But to be in a game situation, but it goes back to practicing it every Thursday. I think the evolution of it, a couple of different guys have done it differently. Dan Marino used to line up guys in a 2x2 and run to the middle of the field. And he just figured he could get it. Dan wasn't a scrambler, so he wasn't going to be running around. So he stayed in the middle of the field, threw it to the middle of the field. And in that situation, the corners have to kind of stay home first and come in. So there's something to doing it more in the middle of the field. There's a niche there. But I think it's evolved because of the athleticism of the receivers that more and more of these are getting caught. And, whether they're going to call interference or not. In our day, they never called the interference call. Guys would be climbing on each other, but it's the end of the game play, and they just let it go. Now, guys have been called at one time or another, so it's a little cleaner play, and the offensive guys have an opportunity to go up.
Were you watching the game live when it happened?
I was not, but
Okay.
I saw it right away. It came up on my screen, on my phone, and I don't know. I smile every time those things happen. I love it. I've always been a guy that loved the unorthodox anyway. And, there's a spot for, and I say this about trick plays. It's not always a trick play. If you practice this stuff all the time, it's a part of your offense. So why not in certain situations when they're not expecting it, throw one of those, put 3 guys to an area and throw one up. At worst, it's a 50-yard punt or 60-yard punt. So it's really, I don't know. It just brings a smile to my face.
I was going to say, like, when you see these Hail Marys get accomplished and the reaction and the emotion, I got to believe it just takes you back to 84.
It really does. It brings it back. And I look at it, compare it to the way we did it and things that happened on that play. Obviously, they got a fortunate tip, but they did everything right to give themselves the opportunity. The other thing I'm saying lately, Aaron Rodgers was doing it every other week for a while, and I'm like, geez, it's making ours seemed special at the time. And a lot of things turned these into being special. Ours was Thanksgiving weekend, 2 top 10 teams, most watched game of the year. All those factors go into people actually remembering because it's happening more and more.
So the Commanders, about halfway through the season, Doug, they're 6-2, and they have this type of moment. They have this type of an emotional high to win a game that looked like they were going to lose. What can something like this do for a team going forward?
I think, and I was talking about this earlier, they've had some things happen for them this year that continue to build their confidence. And that is what, at the professional level, at any level, that's what it's all about. You go into the next week with even more confident feeling. You know that your quarterback has a knack for pulling these things out, and we're going to do everything we can. And individuals that make the plays, the fourth down conversions, the touchdown in the closing seconds, they gain their confidence, and you learn to depend on each other. So that's the difference between winning and losing football teams. Losing football teams in the fourth quarter, I call it looking at your jersey. The New York Jets look down, see the Joe shoot with the Jets. We got to lose this in the fourth. Yeah. This is going to happen. Team. So it's a confidence builder, propels them to the second half of the season, and hopefully good things happen.
And before I let you go, I want to get your thoughts on Jayden Daniels, just being a rookie quarterback and the type of impact he's been having already.
It's hard. Back in our day, you waited 3 or 4 years before you even got an opportunity or a sniff. These kids are getting thrown in there right away. And, athletically, physically, he has all the tools in the world. And I remember watching him in college, being so efficient. So to have, like I said, to have these good things happen for him early, just puts the sky's the limit now. It's going to continue to build throughout the year. His confidence continues to build. He's still not going to be the polished Peyton Manning, Tom Brady for a little while, but he's so darn athletic. He's still going to make plays and do other things as well. And I think, anything's possible for him. We used to love to play against rookie quarterbacks in the day. Not so much now.
I love it. Great insight, great perspective. And Doug, as I told you off camera, this was a real treat for me growing up in Central New York. You're a big role model for me. So thank you for the time.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, much more to come right here on Toyota Sports Talk. Stay with us.